There we go. All right, so today we're going to be doing 2.5 measures of position. Measures of position. All right, we're looking at things called fractiles, quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3. That should sound somewhat familiar to you guys, right? A box and whisker plot, 5-number summary, and the standard score or the z-score. This is the intro to a big statistics topic, which is calculating z-score. And all the z-score is basically, when we get to it, you'll see that it's just a number that tells you how many standard deviations away you are. So if you have a z-score of 2, that implies that you are 2 standard deviations away from the mean, and you are 2 standard deviations above the mean. You can have negative z-scores as well, which just means the same thing, but you are below the mean. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start off with the topics that we have listed right here, right? So first topic up is fractals, right? Fractiles, not fractals, fractiles, right? The number that partitions or divides an ordered data set into equal parts. So when you cut your data into 1/2, right, that's a fraction, that's a fractile. You have a lower half and you have an upper half, right? You can do it in thirds. You have a lower half, you have a middle, not a lower half, a lower third, a middle third, and a top third, right? Top third, top 33% in the class, right? But that's a really weird number because a third is like 33.3 repeating percent. So they don't really do with that. They don't really break up their data into thirds. The most common one that we break our data up into are into 4s, quartiles, right? Quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, right? And then when you look at those quartiles, the pieces that are between them, you have the lowest quarter, the second lowest, the second highest, and the highest, right? And that's all it pretty much is. About 1/4 of the data is below Q1, about 1/2 of the data is below Q2, and about 3/4 of all data fall below Q3. So if I have like chunks like this, right? Like here's my data listed out of this chunk. Q1 would go here, Q2 would go there because I get 25% here, right? And then going from here to here, this is going to be 50%, which is 2/3, right? And then Q3 would be right here, which then if I go from here all the way to there, that's about 75% of my data lies below that. That's all that is when you're dealing with Q1, Q2, and Q3 and quartiles, right? All right, so let's take a look here. How do you find Q1, Q2, and Q3? Well, if you're doing it the old-fashioned way back when you learned in, I think you should have learned this in IM1, right? I think our school teaches it in IM1. To find these things, you just need to put them in order, just like you would do for the median, right? Just like you would do for the median. So let's do that real quick. Let's put all these numbers in order, right? So the smallest number I see here is, I believe, is a 6. Then the next one after that is 7. Next one after that is 8. Next one after that, oh, by the way, double check that I'm doing this correctly. I'm not missing a number, okay? I've been a little bit off today, apparently. 10 is there. I think the next one is 11, right? Next one after that, 15, right? 15, I don't see anything else that's smaller than 15. After that is 17, 18, and 19, right? I believe there's a 20 thrown in there. Getting easier, getting easier. Oh, did I miss that 18? Oh, there's 2 18s. Look at that, guys. I already made a mistake, you guys. Whoops, there's 2 18s. My fault. Let me move that over. 2 18s, 2 18s. Oh my gosh. And then 19, then 20. And then the next one after 20, I believe, is 31, 54, 59, and 104. And 104. Akmi never does mistakes. Yeah, on my best days. Yeah. Today it seems like an off day. I don't know why, but it just seems like an off day. Ugh. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I think I got all the numbers, right? Can you guys double check? Did I write all the numbers down? I crossed them out as I went, but just double check if you guys got the same ones if you put them in order. Okay. All right. All right, let's see here. Okay, you guys got it down? I'm gonna move on. Let me know if you need a little bit more time. I'll slow it down, but I'm gonna go ahead and move on here. To find Q1, Q2, and Q3, the easiest one to find first, right, is Q2. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the reason is when you're doing this and you're looking for Q1, Q2, and Q3, you're splitting your data into halves, right? Right? They're quarters, right? And the easiest one to find is the one that's smack dab in the middle, right? So if I go in there and I look for Q2 first, I'm looking for the number that's exactly in the middle here, right? So I start counting them out. I start looking at like how many do I have below and how many do I have above that will match up perfectly in the middle right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Let's go ahead and highlight here. I have 1, 2, 3 numbers above, 1, 2, 3 numbers below. And I just keep doing that by threes. You can go by fives if you want, but I like to go by threes because, well, it's a little bit easier to see. And once I go by 3 numbers, I can kind of see right now. Do you guys see what number is going to be exactly in the middle? I can't go by threes anymore because that's going to highlight them all. But if I go 1 from below and I go 1 from above, my number that's exactly in the middle is 18. So that right there tells me then that Q2 is equal to 18. Which, by the way, is the same thing as my median, right? My median is 18. Well, guess what? Q2 is also your median. They're the same thing. Q2 is also your median. Okay? Q2 is also your median. Oh, excuse me. So rude, knock me. So rude. All right. Once you get that, to get Q1 and Q3, you take your data and you break them off based off your Q2. So all of this data and all of this data are now separated, right, in half. They're equal halves. I have one lower half and I have one upper half. And in those halves, we're going to find Q1 in the lower half and we'll find Q3 in the upper half by doing the same exact thing, looking for the middle number. Looking for the middle number. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. I go from 1 below, 1 above, and I just keep doing that until I work my way down all the way to the middle. And the middle number I have here in this case is 10, right? It's 10. That tells me then, oh, guess what? Q1 is equal to 10. Right? Q1 is equal to 10. Okay? Do the same thing on the upper side. 1 below, 1 above. 1 below, 1 above. 1 below, 1 above. So 3 below, 3 above. The middle number I have over here is this 31, and that's what my Q3 is equal to. My Q3 is equal to 31. Okay? What do you guys think? Are you okay? Are you guys okay with that? Are you not okay? You're like, what the heck? What is going on? I'm still not here. What's happening? How do you feel? Do you feel all right? What do you think? Nothing? Somewhat okay? Pretty easy? Yeah, it's nothing new, right? Like you should have learned this before. I feel cold. Put on a jacket, Calvin. Sweater, maybe? Blanket. You're at home. Put on a blanket. No one's gonna judge. Right? You're not coming on. No insulation. Oh, I understand those feelings. You grow up like that. You have your indoor jacket for when it's cold. You put on your jacket while you're inside. Okay. All right. I remember doing this. Good. Good. Now we're going to talk about actually interpreting this, right? Interpreting this data, right? So you look here, the number of nuclear power plants in the top 15 nuclear power producing countries in the world are listed. Find the first, second, third quartiles, right? This means that 25%, right? The bottom 25% have at least, right, 10 power plants, right? Have at least 10 power plants. Or no, not at least. fewer, I should say, fewer than 10 power plants. Oh my gosh, not at least, fewer than 10 power plants, right? 50% of the world have fewer than 18 power plants, and fewer than 75% of the world have 31 power plants. Or you could say the other way, 25% of the world have more than 31 power plants listed in there if they are a big nuclear power producing country. Which, by the way, United States doesn't really have much nuclear power producing plants anymore. We seem to be steering away from that, which is a good thing, right? Which is a good thing, because no matter how safe you think it is and how clean you think it's doing, there's always things that can mess up. I don't know if you guys remember this, but a couple years ago, Japan, they have a big nuclear plant. I think it happened like 10 years ago or so. And yeah, when the tsunami hit, it cracked their power plant, and they started dealing with radioactive leaks out of their power plants. And that's some scary stuff when you have radiation leaking out of those places. So yeah, I don't know if you guys ever driven to San Diego before. Brenda, is Jasmine in here? Oh, she didn't respond. There we go. All right. Anyways, you guys ever driven to San Diego before? Or have you been in the car while you're driving down to San Diego? Someone had a trip go down to San Diego before? You ever notice on the way there, like halfway down to San Diego, you see like these big domes that look like breasts off on the right side near the coast? Have you ever seen that before? You'll be driving down, you just see these two big domes there, and everyone laughs because they look like nipples on top of the domes. Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, don't think of it that way. Just think of them as domes. That used to be a power plant. That used to be a nuclear power plant. They used to have radioactive stuff there, right? And it produced a lot of electricity for the cities nearby. But it has been shut down, I believe, ever since. I don't believe it's active anymore. But just think about it. You were driving by something that, if something went wrong, would pretty much cause a nuclear explosion, like an A-bomb, pretty much. And you drove by that all the time, right? Neat stuff. All right, guys. Anyways, yeah, that's your Q1, Q2, Q3. If you have questions on how we found this, all I did was look for the number that is exactly in the middle, right? That's exactly in the middle. Once you did that, did the people who even, yeah, actually, when nuclear power came to be, everyone thought it was like the best thing ever. You get all this electricity with just a little bit of resources. You might know. Yeah, you can. We'll do that. We're not going to submit this today, though, so don't worry about not being able to. But yeah, if you are doing my notes on Google Doc, you can email me your Google Doc, and then I'll just key it in the grade manually when I start grading all the notes. Okay. So if you can't do it on Kami because it's lagging too much, or it's like deleting your stuff, I'll do it that way as well. Okay. All right. Anyways, once you get the middle number, it splits your data into a lower half, right, and a upper half. And once you find your data with your lower half and your upper half, you find the middle number again. So once you find the middle number between your lower half, that's your Q1. You find your middle number from your upper half, that's your Q3. Okay? So you got to make sure you can get that. So can you guys go ahead and try this in your notes right now for the U-Try for number 1? The test scores of 15 employees enrolled in a CPR training course are listed. Okay? Find the first, second, and third quartiles of the test scores. Find the first, second, and third quartiles of the test scores. So pretty much find Q1, Q2, and Q3 for this U-Try. So go ahead and you try that real quick. I'll leave this right here so you can see what I did. Remember, first thing you need to do, put all your data, right? Put all your data in order. Please do that as your first step. Put all your data in order. All right, so while you guys do that, I'm going to open up something real quick here. What is the interpretation? We'll talk about the interpretation later, but if you want to talk about the interpretation for number 1, I would say that less than 25% of the countries listed have fewer than 10 nuclear power plants. You could also say less than 50% of these countries have fewer than 18%. And you could also go the other way and go with the highest one, fewer than 75% of the countries have fewer. Less than 75% of the countries have fewer than 31 nuclear producing power plants. But right now, we'll focus more on just the Q1, Q2, and Q3. Find that first, and then we'll talk about interpretations a little bit later. Let me see here. Give me a second. I'll look at something real quick here. That's not what I want. Where are you? Right there. Stats. There we go. Looks like we'll be using this site. Oh, that one might be better. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay, so you guys doing all right? Did you get the numbers in order? That's how you should start this. Get the numbers in order. If you don't know what to do right now, write them out in order for me. What's the smallest number you see there? Right? Smallest number I see is 5. Keep going. Get all these numbers. Put them out in order. Once you get them in order, start finding the Q1, the Q2, and the Q3. Don't wait for me to do it. You guys should try it out. This would be the best place to practice, right? I don't mark you wrong here. If you get it wrong, this is good practice to see if you would get this right or wrong on a test. Some of you guys might see the next you try after that has a crap ton of numbers. Just ignore that. I'm not going to do that to you today. I'm just going to focus on this you try right here. You try number 1. I'm going to work quietly while you're working on yours. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. Extra credit though. Oh, for that big one? I mean, maybe. It is doable. It is doable. It's just, I wish I put them in order for you. They're not in order, by the way, for that big one. There's a lot of numbers. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in there. I don't know if I want to have you do. Oh, you know what? No, even doing it on the on the computer, you got to type in those numbers. And I'm actually going to show you guys how to do the shortcut right now. But I'm going to do it with this one. I don't think we should bother doing it with the other one. Oh yeah, I was gonna find out how you guys are doing this. I was gonna find out something real quick. How to do this on Google Sheets. Oops, that's not what I want to do. So give me a second here while you guys are doing that. Let's see if I can figure this out. where was I at here? T. Okay. Hopefully this will work. I don't know if we will. Let's see. All right. I don't think that was going to work out as well as I thought it was, but it's going to be easier on the TI calculator, I think. Let's go ahead and try this out. Check this out. So if you don't know what to do, once you have these numbers put in order, look for the middle number. I'm telling you, first thing to find is Q2, right? Find that guy first. That Q2 is just the median. And you guys already know how to find the median, right? You guys have done this before. So get different color pens, different color highlighters, and just highlight your way into it. I'm going to go 5 below, and I'm going to go 5 above. And that helps me to see, okay, where am I for my... Did I mess up, by the way? I'm missing a number? There's supposed to be 15 numbers here, and that means that there should be a number that's exactly in the middle. Did I mess up somewhere? Anyone catch any of it? Did I do this all right, or did I miss a number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm missing a number, guys. I'm missing a number. So I got 5. Oh, I'm missing 18? Oh, right there. How did I do that again? How did I do that again? Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Ziri. Did I say that right? At Zahiri and Michael. Oh, you type it again. And Demaya pointing it out. Oh, now I'm curious. At Zahiri. Am I saying that right, or at Ziri? At Zahiri? Can you type it out phonetically for me to how to pronounce your name? Or if you want to come on mic, you can. I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly for the rest of the year. So just let me know if I was saying it okay, or if I'm not, if I'm like totally butchering it, I'm sorry. But let me know. I want to make sure I'm saying your name correctly. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's do that again. I was like, man, I'm way off on this one. So 5 below, 5 above, right? And then from here, I'm not going to go 5 anymore. I'm just going to go a little bit smaller. 1 below, 1 above, 1 below, 1 above. And hopefully you guys see that. That Q2 in this case is equal to 15. It's exactly in the middle, right? And that right there splits your data into a lower half and a upper half, right? So I got a lower half here, and I got upper half here. To find Q1 and Q3, same exact thing. You just go and look for the middle number. And let's do this with a pen this time. I'm going to go 2, 2, 1, 1. And the number that's exactly in the middle is right there, which is Q1, which tells me that it's 10, right? Which tells me that it's 10. Then keep going here. We'll do it for the last one over here for the upper, right here. 1, 1. Again, you just work your way towards the middle, right? So, and I get that right there. And that's my Q3, which is 18. This was my 18, which was the one I was missing, apparently. I was missing that 18 in there. But yeah, that's your Q1, Q2, and Q3, right? Q1, Q2, and Q3. That's the baby way of doing it. I'm telling you, like, you know, that's the bare bones. That's how they used to do it. They used to do it by hand, by putting the numbers in order. And even I made a mistake by missing a number there. And if you miss the number right here because you're going to put them in order, you're going to end up getting the problem wrong, right? You're going to end up getting the problem wrong, which happens sometimes because of that. And what I suggest you learn to do is doing this using technology instead. You guys now have a calculator on your Chromebook, right? You have the TI calculator, that fancy calculator I guys had you guys download. That's one way of doing this problem if you don't want to you know, if you're worried about putting your numbers in order. So let me show you real quick how to do this on the TI calculator. I know some of you guys are so tired of this thing, but I'm telling you, on your test, like this is gonna be like your best friend if you know how to use this correctly. It will help you find these answers for you very easily, right? It will help you find your answers very easily. So right here, I have all my numbers here. I need to put them into a list. Very easy stuff. Go ahead, and if you remember how to put numbers into a list, it's the same way for finding these guys as well. We go to Stat, and we go to Edit, and we type in all the numbers that we need, right? And the numbers that we have here, I'm not the numbers that we need. The numbers that we have here, we just type them in. So like 13, 9, 18, 15, 14, 21, 7, 10, 11, 20, 5, 18, 37, 16, and 17, right? This program does not care if you have them in order or not, okay? So I have them in there, and just like before, to calculate the mean and the standard deviation, you're gonna do the same thing to calculate your Q1, Q2, and Q3. You ready for this? So once you type in your numbers, hit second, quit. You go back to this screen right here. We're gonna hit Stat one more time, go over to Calculate. Ready? We're gonna go over to Calculate, and we're gonna hit 1var stats. 1var stats this is what we did earlier in the last section to find your mean and your standard deviation. We're gonna do the same thing. Go over here to Calculate, arrow the numbers I put into L1, and you'll say, oh, there it is right there. There's the mean. There's your standard deviation for the sample and for the population, right? There's a standard deviation of 7. But we don't care for that, right? We care for Q1, Q2, and Q3. Here's the neat part. You see this right here has a little arrow pointing down. Just push down on your calculator, this down arrow right here, and it has more information for you. And if you scroll down, there's your information. There was 15 numbers in total that I typed in there, and check out what Q1 says. Q1 says 10. What is the median? Oh, I'm sorry. I just gave that away. Med. What does med stand for? Med stands for median, which is your Q2, which is 15, which is what we got. And there's Q3 for you right there, which is 18. You guys see that? All listed beautifully, all done on your calculator without you having to put them in order. And say, knock me, that's all well and good, but what if I don't have my Chromebook because reasons? And, well, then you're going to try to use Google Sheets, hopefully, because if you're on here watching my video, you should have access to Google Sheets, right? So I went ahead and opened this up right here onto Google Sheets, okay? I typed in the numbers, right? I typed in the numbers, 13, all of that stuff, and they're not in order. And Google Sheets will help you find your quartiles as well, right? Will help you find your quartiles as well. The equation for them is, well, you just type equal and then quartile, but be careful with which quartile you pick. I actually, well, let's try this out. Let's see if it's this one or if it's the other one. I actually don't know which one it is. I was supposed to figure that out before this because, oh, I just forgot. A 15, and I'm looking for quartile 1. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the equation we need. We need to find quartile.exc, which means we exclude. I'm assuming that it means that we exclude the data once we find it. But that's that right there, which is 10, right? Can I move that? I didn't want to put it there. Let's copy this. Let's put this over, that over there. So this is going to be Q1, right? Q1. Q2 is going to equal to, now how did I type out this equation? Again, let's try one more time. It's equals, and then it's going to be quartile, but it's quartile with the EXC. So if you're doing this on Google Sheets, this is a little bit more you have to memorize. I really suggest you just write it down somewhere. And of course, where is quartile at? It's going to be from A1 all the way down to A15, right? But this is the extra part of it. You can't just stop there because it's not enough information. Quartiles has 3 different values. It has Q1, Q2, and Q3. So if you just do that right there, it doesn't do it for you. You need to go in there, and after you tell it where the numbers are, you need to hit comma, and then you put a second number in. If you plug in 1, it'll tell you Q1. If you plug in 2, it'll tell you Q2. And if you plug in 3, it'll tell you Q3. You see that? Q1 is 10. Q2 is 15. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. All right, up here where I'm typing my stuff into this box, if you type in Q1, it tells you that, if you type in 1, it'll find Q1. If you type in 2, it'll find Q2. If you type in 3, it'll find Q3. So let's go with Q2, right? And then the last one right here, same thing, equals to quartile EXC A1 to A15. I'm looking for the third one in this one right here. So that's going to give me Q3 right there. So that's how you can do it on Google Sheets. The equation for that one before, you got to learn each one individually here. So this one right here is going to be equals, I already forgot it, quartile.exe A1 to A15, comma, 1. And that's it for that one right there. Boom. So again, it's up to you on the test or on the quiz that you're going to have. Do you want to do this on your TI calculator, or do you want to do this on your Google Sheets? And if you do it on here and I ask you to show your work for it, you just screenshot this and just be like, knock me, here's my work. Take a screenshot of this, paste it onto there, or submit it as a photo. And that's it. It covers your butt for you doing the work and what is your answers. Okay? And that's it. It's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. I was going to have you guys do that for this one, but that's just too many numbers. I don't even want you to type that out into Sheets. It's just so many numbers. But I do have the answer from this from before. So just if you want to double check your answer, right? Or if you want to double check if I'm wrong, you could do that as well. And let me know if I'm wrong. But this is what I have from years past. I found out that Q1 was 30, Q2 was 37, and Q3 was 47. But they could be wrong. So you guys could try to check it out. See if that's what you get if you were to work it through. But that's how you find your Q1, your Q2, and your Q3. Easy stuff, right, guys? Easy stuff. And all I'm telling you right now is, now that we're in the stats class, you don't need to do it by hand anymore. I'm not going to grade you by, oh, this kid didn't put it in order. I'm going to just grade you if they're right or wrong. And if they're wrong, you can still get partial credit if you take a picture or a screenshot of what you did. That way I can see, well, why did this kid get it wrong, right? So you can take a screenshot of something like this, right? Take a screenshot of the calculator and show me. Could the calculator do that many numbers? Yes, Michael. The calculator can do an unlimited number of numbers. I guarantee it. I don't know if it can do infinitely many, but it can do an unlimited amount of numbers that you type into it. I don't think it has any bounds. So if I stopped here and just started typing in more numbers, right? Like, I hate that sometimes if I go too far around. There we go. So if I type in like 4, 5, 5, 6, something. There's like no bounds to this thing. I can just keep typing in numbers. All the way to like 70. We can keep going. We can keep going. It's gonna be around 4 and 5 because I keep typing 4 and 5 over and over again. And then yeah, you go back out, just hit the same stuff. Stat, calculate, one variable statistics, go down to calculate because all the numbers are now 1. Oh, I typed in 105 numbers. Here's my average. Here's my standard deviation. That's a pretty big standard deviation. And then my Q1, Q2, and Q3 are listed on there, which is interesting. But yeah, same thing with Excel, by the way. If you do it on Google Sheets or Excel and you type the numbers into that list looking thing, which is this looking list, there's no limits to this, right? It looks like it's going to stop if I get down to here. Like, look, there's like 900 numbers, right? You can just add more rows if you want, and it'll just keep going, right? So anyways, that's that. So I suggest you practice. Like, you can try this. You don't have to do this right now. Just try this on your own. Just see if you can find it. And then if you can find it, you're going to be ready for my next quiz, whenever that may be, if I remember to take and give you this quiz. Anyways, that's for that one. Okay, so how you feeling, guys? You guys doing all right? You guys doing all right with this? Hopefully you are. Hope you're feeling okay. All right, let's move on then. I didn't actually get to check with you guys. I didn't make the pair deck for you guys on this one either, so I feel a little bit bad. I can't check in with you guys, but that's okay. We'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. So the next one up is the interquartile range. Could the I already read that question. Yeah. Okay. So interquartile range, the IQR. The interquartile range is basically just the range for your quartiles, where the range regularly is from all of your data, from minimum to maximum, right? But this one is just the interquartile range. Okay. All right. So all you got to do to find the interquartile range, right, or the IQR, is take your Q3 and subtract it from Q1. And that's it. That's your IQR, right? Now, why do we even bother finding something that is this simple? Is because we use that IQR to help us measure the outliers later on when we're starting to do with box and whiskers. And I'll show you that when we get to it. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. If I was trying to find the IQR of the first I'll do / will do one, which is all the way up here, it's these numbers right here. Q1 is 10 and Q3 is 31. So I'll write that down because that's what I need, right? So for the first I'll do, will do, Q, that's an I, knock me, and you said Q. Q1 is 10 and Q3 was 31. Was 31. Okay. So how do you find the IQR? Well, the IQR, the interquartile range, is just Q3 minus Q1. Well, what's Q3? Well, that was 31, knock me. What's Q1? And that was 10. So what's the IQR equal to? 31 minus 10, which is just 21. That's it. Even easier than finding the Q1 and the Q3, right? Once you find them, the IQR, fairly simple, right? Fairly simple. And just subtract your Q3 from your Q1 and you get your IQR. So that should be an easy point, hopefully, if you guys are ever asked to find the IQR. You got to find Q3 and Q1 and just subtract the two from each other. Okay? All right. All right, guys. Let's keep going here. For the U-try, get the IQR from the data set from the first U-try. So let's go over there and look at that. What was the first U-try? The IQR here was going to be Q1 equaling to 10 and Q3 equaling to 18. So let's write that down, right? What's the IQR for this one? Looking at that example, it's going to be 18 for Q3 minus 10 for Q1. And we get, that's a weird Q. And we get 8. We get 8. That's my answer. Okay. On the test or quiz, we have to do an interpretation. Not really. Not for just the IQR. The interpretation for IQR isn't like as important on its own. We will be interpreting this data, but just the IQR on its own, like if you wanted to actually break down the interpretation of it, like I can give it to you. Give me a second. It's just so like such a small detail, but if you want, let me see if I can find a good explanation for a description of it. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. So, you know, right here, this was for the first U-try, right? If you look closely, what was the data that we were looking at for the first U-try? They were the test scores of 15 employees enrolled in a CPR training course, right? So they're just test scores. So this is a test score of 5. This guy got a test score of 37. I don't know what the rankings are for this, but that's the test score there. If you're looking at the IQR, what this is telling me, right, what this number 8 is telling me is the range of the middle portion of your data varies by about 8. So if I look at the middle portion of my data from 10 to 18, the data from 10 to 18, right, which makes sense because that's the Q1 and Q3, it varies from 10 to 8. That's all I would say. If you want to write it down, we can go with that, right? The test scores, right, in the middle portion vary of the data set, just say the middle portion vary by at most 8 points. Which I guess could tell you a lot if you're looking at something crazy and whatnot, but in this particular case, it's not that, it's just telling you like, oh, your data is not too spread out in the middle. The middle of it is only about a difference of 8 from the lowest score from the middle and the highest score from the middle. And again, what does that mean? Doesn't mean much if you're just looking at the IQR by itself. But if we have like a bigger data set, we can talk more about the interpretation later on. I kind of wanted to put that on hold. But hopefully that answers your question, Michael. Don't stress out, by the way, thinking about interpretation on the quiz for right now. We'll deal with that when we get to the test stuff. But before we do the test stuff, I'm gonna have you do stuff like that and interpret your data when we get to the project. Okay, when we get to the project. Okay. Anyways. All right, let's keep going. So we're going to skip that one. Let's go on to here. And we're going to talk about analyzing the IQR. This is why we find the IQR. Okay, this is why we use it to find the IQR. So the IQR is a measure of variation that gives you an idea of how much the middle 50% of your data varies, right? How much of your data varies in the middle 50%. It can also be used to identify outliers, right? Any data value that lies more than, and this is the key thing I want you to hover, highlight, circle, or whatever, anything that lies more than 1.5 to the left of Q1 or to the right of Q3 is an outlier. Now that 1.5, that's the part that you got to be careful with, right? So to find your outliers, you take that 1.5 and you multiply it with your IQR. Okay? And that's this part right here. You see that? 1.5, multiply it with your IQR. That number, right? That number right there, which 1.5 times 8 is going to give you that 12. If you add it to the Q3, that's like your limit. That's your cutoff limit. That's what I describe that number is, right? So 30, right, is the cutoff for things that are considered not an outlier. If you have a number that goes beyond that, like this 37, 37 is considered an outlier. And you're like, what the heck are you talking about, Nakmi? Let me show you with these numbers that we have in order. So on the first example that we have here, for the second example that we have here for the UTry, right? I have a number up here at 37. I don't know if that's an outlier or not. What helps me find out if I have an outlier is to find this guy right here. Take the IQR and multiply by 1.5. So the IQR in this case, we calculated it. It came out to be 8. Multiply it by 1.5. And that's going to give me this number of 12. How do I know it's 12? The note said it, but I can just show you guys, right? 8 times 1.5, which is 12. Now, with that 12, what you want to do is add it to Q3. So, right, 18 plus 12 gives you this number of 30, right? 18 plus 12 gives you this number of 30. And this 30 is considered your cutoff for outliers. That's all it is. To get this number is this your IQR that I told you how to find, but you multiply by 1.5. And why is it 1.5? Honestly, I looked this up and it was upsetting. The guy who created Box and Whiskers was the one who just came up with 1.5. They thought that was a good number. I can't find anyone else that tells me otherwise, like why it's such a good number, but that's what they use to find out what the cutoff is. And then you take that 12 and you also go this way and you go your lowest number, I'm sorry, your Q1, which is 10, and you subtract it from 12, and that gives me -2, and -2 would be your cutoff for outliers on the lower end. But it's impossible to get a negative score, or actually, I don't know, you could get a negative score on a test if you're just that bad. But that's the outlier for this side. But there's no numbers past 5. So there's no outliers that are below these test scores, right? But there is an outlier that's above these test scores. And that's all you're really doing with your IQR. You're finding the IQR just so you can multiply by 1.5. And then you add it to Q3 to see if there's any outliers. Then you subtract it from Q1 to see if there's any outliers that way. Okay? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But if not, maybe we could actually do a problem if we have one. I do not have one. Knock me. What the heck? I guess. We'll do one when we start doing the box and whiskers. Yeah, we'll figure out if the whisker is an outlier or not. But you can actually see it a little bit better once we do the box and whiskers. That's the next thing we're going to go to right here. And that's what we're going to wrap up with, is probably doing one box and whiskers before you leave here today. Right? So have you guys seen box and whiskers before? It's literally a box and two whiskers. Right? That's all it is. You take your data and you only care about 5 numbers. You care about Q1, Q2, and Q3. And then you care about the minimum and the maximum. Those minimums and those maximums give you your whiskers on the end. Your Q1, Q2, and Q3 gives you the box in the middle, right? That's how we distinguish that, and that's how we make your box and whisker plot. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward. And again, just like all the other graphs, I'm going to show you a way to do it using a website or a calculator or something that will do it for you so you don't have to draw it by hand. But this is one of those things. It's not that hard to draw by hand. It's just easy mistakes can be made when you draw it out. So let's take a look here. Right, again, as I was saying, the 5 numbers that you're going to need, Q1, Q2, Q3, and then you need the minimum and the maximum. You tell me what those are, draw your box and whiskers, and you're good to go. The only thing that I ask from you that is if you draw this by hand or if you're not going to use the website to do it, and you draw it like using Paint or Google Drawings or whatever, can you make sure that the numbers you have are to scale on the bottom? I can't stress this enough. I used to hate this. I used to see kids who would just draw their box and whiskers like this, right, without any numbers for scale, and they're like, "This is a box and whisker. This is what it looks like." But here's what used to drive me insane. You ready for this? Right? The numbers they would have for these things would be something like this. Oh, the number in here is they got for Q1, let's say, was 5, and then they got for Q2 was 10, and they got for Q3 was 15, and you're like, I mean, that looks fine, and I agree, that looks fine. But you know what sucks is what they had for the max and the minimum numbers. Can you guys guess what those numbers were? Right? The minimum number was 0, and again, that doesn't look too bad. But even though from here to here is 5, how the heck is from here to here the same distance from here to here? Right? That used to drive me insane. But you know, it's small enough. And you're like, nah, I mean, that's not that big of a deal. And I kind of agree there. It's like, it's just a little bit different. It's not that much off. It's drawn by hand. But you know what did used to drive me insane? Is if the maximum number was something like 200. Which is going to happen, by the way. Sometimes you're going to have a data like that. And this right here, I can't handle that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's smaller than this one. You know? So what I want is to draw it by, I want you to draw it by scale. Right? If you have something that's going by 5s here and you have something that's 200, give me the whisker that actually goes out to 200. Right? Make it longer. And doing so will allow you to see like how crazy of an outlier that data actually is. That's why when you draw this stuff, it's so important that you make the number line first and make sure you draw everything responding to that number line. Right? So when you do a box and whisker, like for example, this box and whisker right here, I can tell, right? The minimum entry to the Q1 value is this length right here, and it's roughly about, I'd say about 7 to 36, right? And you can actually measure that out. Whereas if you just did this willy-nilly and this number was 200, what the heck is that, right? What the heck is that? Oh, knock me, that's a difference of 185. Well, that doesn't look like 185 there, right? That looks ridiculous is what that is. You want to actually go all the way out to 200 for me if you are going to do this box and whisker stuff. Okay, anyways, how do you construct your box and whisker? Find your 5 numbers. Find your minimum, find your Q1, find your Q2, find your Q3, and then find your max. And I don't know if you noticed this about the TI calculator that we did earlier today, but if you actually go in there to find your Q1, Q2, and Q3 using the calculator, it also tells you a little bit extra. You ready? it also tells you a little bit extra. You ready for it? You scroll down and you take a look here. You got your Q1, you got your Q2, you got your Q3. But what else do you notice? You also have a minimum number of your data and you have a maximum number of your data. So all the 5 numbers can be done on your TI calculator. And then you can just write that down and then draw your box and whiskers. Write down all your 5 values, right? Write down all your 5 values and construct a horizontal scale. That's the big one. This guy right here, right? That spans the range of the data. It goes from the minimum all the way up to the maximum, and make sure your tick marks are equal all the way through, right? Make sure they're equal all the way through. And I don't know, it blows my mind. Everyone wants to just draw the box and whisker first. Do this part first. Do the number line first, and then deal with the rest later, right? And then deal with the rest later. All right, so all this nonsense that I'm rambling on about, let's just do this box and whisker. And then you could screenshot my screen if you want, and then you can put it in your notes if you want to just take my drawing because, you know, my drawings are just so amazing, right? I don't know. Let's take a look here. So the numbers we have here, right? My Q1 was equal to 10. My Q2 was equal to 18. My Q3 was equal to 31. But the other thing I need is the minimum number. What's the minimum number you guys see in here? What's the smallest number? From the first I'll do, which is going to be 6 is the smallest number, and the maximum number is going to be equal to 104. Oh, my stomach. I'm hungry. So that's it right there. So it's from 6. Oh, let me get all these numbers here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go all the way down to here. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to do it from the I'll do, will do. This is from the, well, it knocked me. It's okay. So we're going to go ahead and get my thing to work correctly. Yo, why are you doing this? Why aren't you clicking where I want you to click? You just don't want to work. I go over here. I click here. Boom. Okay, perfect. Let's go right there. So here's my box and whisker for this one, and I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. So here's my data, right? My minimum number is 6. My Q1 is 10. My Q2 is 18. My Q3 is 31. And my max is 104, right? So that's all I'm going to do here is draw a number line that goes from my minimum all the way down to my maximum. And you'll look here, the number line that's drawn actually goes past the minimum. The minimum was actually at 6, right? The maximum was at 104, which is about there. Doesn't look right, but here's what we did. Make a number line go from beyond 6. I guess I could have gone from 5, but 0 is just so much closer, so I just went all the way from 0 and then go all the way up to 110. Again, you could have stopped at 105, but it looks like the scale's going by 10s, so they decided to just go all the way up to here. Each tick mark is 5, but they write down the number 10. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up. Do that first. Do that first. And look at your data, right? If I'm going to go from 0 to 110, make it make sense. Like you should go by 10s, right? Or go by 5s. Don't go by 1s. Please don't draw 100 little tick marks, right? Please don't do that. And then once you draw your horizontal line, go and mark your Q1, Q2, and Q3. And I don't actually do it this way. I actually just mark it right here. And I go, oh, Q1 in this case is equal to 10. Q2 is equal to 18. And Q3 is equal to 31. My maximum entry right here is 104. And my minimum entry is 6. I actually write those values out. And then once you mark them, then you go ahead and draw your box. So your box is going to be here and here and here. And you just connect it all together. You don't have to make it a different color. And then to finish it off, go all the way to your maximum entry, and that's going to be your whisker. And then go all the way down to your minimum entry, and that's going to be your other whisker. And that's it. That's it. Wait, this isn't right. Oh my God! Don't copy that. I just realized. What are these numbers from? This number is not from the first example. What are these numbers from? My God, knock me. Ignore that. Ignore that. I just saw that. Q3 right here is like 80 something. This one is 60 something, and this is 30 something. This is just a made up problem, isn't it? That doesn't make sense though, because that one actually does have the value of 104. I think it's just a made up problem. My fault, guys. My fault. My fault. I was supposed to do it here, wasn't I? Will do. Is that the right one? Why am I going? I am struggling today. That is the right one for this one, but it's not this drawing. I'm supposed to make one myself up. My gosh. All right. That's what I was doing the first time. Let's actually just do that correctly. So that's these values right here. All right. Sorry about that. Let's go. Let's go. We got this, Nakmi. We got this. You're okay. You're not going crazy. Just a little crazy, but you're not going crazy. So here we go. There's my number line. Don't worry about it, Calvin. I'm okay. I'm okay. So for this one right here, right, I'm going to start at 0, right? And I'm going to finish at, this is 104, so I'm going to go all the way up to 110, just like, that looks like so close to the other one, right? And then I'm going to go by tens, right? So 0, let's go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, oh man, 90, 100. I did not give myself enough space. 110. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and 110. All right. We got this. Then just go ahead and start plugging in your numbers here. So 6 would be somewhere like right here. I'll write that down. The minimum number is 6. And then my Q1 is at 10. So I'd write that right here. There's my Q1, which is at 10. Q2 is at 18, which is right here. Q2 is at 18. Q3 is at 31, which is right here. And then the maximum number is at 104, which is like all the way out there. So what's my box and whisker look like? I connect this guy together to make my box, connect the Q1 with the minimum number, connect the Q3 with that one with the maximum number of 104. And that's my box and whisker, guys, for this example. I'm sorry. I did the other one, but I thought that was the right one. I was like, nope, that's my mistake. So yeah, anyways, that's how we do a box and whiskers. We'll do the U-try next time. And I think for the next one for the U-try, I'm just going to show you how to do it on, on a website pretty much. Your TI calculator does it, but it's actually a little weird on there. Just view it, but we'll check it out, and I'll show you what it looks like. But I think right now, if you're comfortable just doing it by hand, just do it by hand. But when we get larger and larger numbers, and you don't want to calculate Q1, Q2, and Q3, you can plug it into a program, and it will do all that for you. It will do the 5 data points, and it'll do the box and whisker plot for you. So when we start getting into the group project, you can do that with your data when we get there. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm sorry, today's lecture was kind of weird. I don't know if it was weird for you guys, but it was weird for me. But yeah, we'll continue with this on Thursday, and we'll hopefully remember to have a quiz on that day. Okay? And that's it, guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Go get some lunch, and I'll see you guys then. All right?